Hey everyone, it's Kenji. For my newest New York Times Ask Kenji column, I've been braising a lot of beef because I want to answer some questions about it. One of the questions I had was, does it really make a difference whether the beef is fully submerged in your braising liquid or whether it's partially exposed? Usually I leave it partially exposed because I want some of that browning that happens on the surface to occur, but I don't really know how this affects the texture too much. I've never tested it. The other question I had was whether it makes a difference if your beef cools down submerged in liquid or it cools down in the air, because people always tell you cool it down in its own liquid, otherwise it'll get dry. So these are the four different samples. So across the row on the top here, these were both cooled in the air without liquid, while these were both cooled submerged in liquid. These were cooked completely covered in braising liquid, while these were cooked exposed. So you can see that the ones that were exposed during cooking definitely get a lot more browning than the ones that were covered during cooking. That browning leads to a little bit more flavor, both on the meat and in the broth itself. You can definitely tell the difference in the broth when the meat is exposed versus completely covered. As far as texture goes, the main difference was juiciness. So the ones that were covered lost about 30% of their moisture during cooking, whereas the ones that were exposed lost about 40% of their moisture, and they tasted a little bit drier as well. However, once you allowed them to cool down in their own liquid, they reabsorbed that liquid. Whether they were exposed or covered, they reabsorbed that liquid pretty much equally. So the next day, when I gently reheated it, the ones that were covered and the ones that were exposed, they were both pretty much equally juicy as long as I allowed them to cool down in their own liquid. The ones that were exposed, however, had better flavors. So my recommendation when you're braising beef would be cover the beef with liquid part way, leave some of the chunks of beef sticking out of the top exposed so that when they're braising in the oven, they can get some good browning going, you can develop some more flavor, and then you can eat it straight away if you want, but for best results, let it cool down in its own liquid overnight in the fridge and then very gently reheat it the next day. Don't bring it up to a rapid boil. Just bring it up to hot serving temperature. So around 140 degrees or so is good. And that way you're gonna have the best texture and the most flavor development. All right, I hope that was useful. If you want more details on any of this, you can find them in my newest Ask Kenji column in New York Times Cooking. And if you got more questions, make sure to send them my way and I will do my best to test and answer them. All right, bye-bye.